Welcome to the You Decide podcast. I'm Dr. Tiffany. We are going to bring you stories of ordinary people who have chosen to live an extraordinary life, outside of their comfort zones and into confidence, possibility, and certainty. You are just one decision away from living your most aligned life, because let's get real, that's what we all want. Today we're with Keely Schlichting. She's an experienced mortgage loan originator and the mortgage production manager at Bell Bank in Fargo, North Dakota. She's worked in the mortgage industry with Bell for 20 years. She's married to her high school sweetheart, Alan, and together they have two very busy boys, Ty and Kai. When not in the office, Keely can be found on the sidelines of a football game, in the bleachers of a basketball game, or at a track and field event. Welcome, Keely. Woo!
Hello, Tiff.
Hello. We met, what was it, 5-6 years ago, probably, through the boys?
Yep. I think on a basketball court.
I'm pretty sure it was on a way long time ago, actually.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it was when we were wondering if Ty would be on our basketball team. So that was way long time.
Yes.
Yeah, before you were staying.
Yes, I know. We're not going there today.
No. Okay, we really have a lot of common, wouldn't you say, between working
a lot
of work, a lot of responsibility. I tell people about you a lot. You don't know what I say about you. No, but I say
it's okay.
Never guess what she has to get through in a day before she can be here and look like a normal person on the sidelines or in the bleachers. And so props to you. I know it's all kind of stressy, but you have a workload that most people don't know how to handle. They wouldn't know how to handle, and you do it with grace. So
Thank you.
Don't get tears on me.
I know. I was like, gosh, don't talk nice things. I don't handle compliments very well.
Okay, so initially I was thinking that may be another segment that we do, because I think so many women could hear more stories or benefit from more stories of women who are passionate about their work and passionate about their home, right? Our values are very, the top one is like split between family and career.
Yes.
And that's an okay thing. So many people have that in their heads that it's not an okay thing. So I think it would be an awesome segment to do later. Today, we're going to shift gears a little bit. This may be emotional, of course, but we're going to talk about Landon's light. We're going to talk about Landon and Kai's relationship. Keely's son, Kai, was in the foursome with Landon. So best friends with Landon Solberg, and he passed from cancer about a month ago. He is a beacon of light in our community. It is amazing what that little boy, like the legacy that he has left. It is absolutely amazing. But obviously with that comes heartbreak, it comes confusion, it comes frustration, and all the stages of grief. And so you've graciously gotten on here to talk a little bit about what life has been like with Kai over the last few years, at least leading up to September 17th. So I'm just going to give you the mic. Talk a little bit about their relationship, because I feel like, gosh, they're 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like the depth of those relationships that he had are more than I believe many adolescent or high schoolers have in their life ever. And so I think there's a unique piece of why connection is so important with kids, and why friendships, if we aren't connected to people, we don't have it. We don't feel comfortable with ourselves. We don't feel like we're supported. And then like how the last 4 weeks have been, and how things were kind of getting up to that point. So I'm going to let you just kind of take it, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. So yeah, when we moved and became a Mustang, we immediately start flag football, and Kai's mad because he doesn't know anybody on his team. We first night after practice, everybody's leaving. We follow a couple of the vehicles home, and here is our head football coach for that particular year is our neighbor. So I kind of make my way over there just to say, hey, you're our neighbor. I see and coach, and the boys that are on the team are also the same age as Kai. Mm-hmm. And school hadn't really started yet. So it was kind of an introduction to, hey, these are going to be your new neighborhood friends. You've got football as a common passion right now. I mean, that just automatically gets boys, connected because they're out in the backyards playing football every night. Mm-hmm. So that was our first kind of introduction to truly Landon. Now, granted, we had known the parents from a prior relationship of being employees at Bell Bank, but that's when we're young and don't have children yet. So over the course of the next 2 years, we've got these kids running through your yards in your homes like everybody else has, I'm sure. You become an open door. Kids are running, coming and going, and in your pantry and taking food and Gatorade, and you come home from work and there's 12 bikes in the driveway, and you know who's at the house. Yep. So Landon was just my husband said it best. When he would come home and see Landon's bicycle in the driveway, he knew that everything was okay, that there wasn't any mischief going on. There wasn't any fighting. Boys can be boys. So he said, even early, Alan was like, okay, Landon's there, things are good. Yeah. And that just followed through over the course of, the next 2 years. He just brought a peacefulness when you were around him. I think the boys, the neighborhood boys, they just felt, he was a safe place. Yeah. He still is. The Solberg house is, I think, always just going to be a safe place. So it was just kind of amazing to see that. And then, fourth grade started, or it was fifth grade now. Yeah. I can't even remember my years anymore, but Kai would come home and talk about, Landon's headaches, and then that's when all the news started and the testing and the diagnosis. And, I don't think Kai really understood any of that because Landon did his best to make everyone comfortable. He was just strong. He's just completely amazing what that boy did through his, time that he, after the diagnosis, but no one, especially his friends, he protected them. He, when they were around him, nobody talked about cancer. They didn't talk about, how he was another kid. He was just another friend. And he made it comfortable for Kai. So honestly, for the first year, I think the parents were starting to just, it was very, very hard for us knowing the long-term outlook on his diagnosis, but it was really hard for me because we couldn't get through to Kai what was really going to be happening. So honestly, that first year, I swear I would get almost frustrated with him because it was like, I need you to make sure you're spending your time appropriately because these days are limited. Mm-hmm. And we came home from a North Dakota, I think it was a bison event one night. And it was when they did his Make-A-Wish. And I was driving, I remember, and my son Ty just like freaked out at Kai. And he's like, do you understand what is going on and what is going to happen to Landon? And he just sat there, and Ty was like, took the parent seat that night. And he's like, put your phone down and listen to what I have to say. And he just laid it out and told him, he's not going to live. He is going to die from this, and we don't know how much longer. So he's like, get your head out of your rear and start, focusing on what's important. And so from that day forward, it actually kind of hit home for Kai. Okay. But then, So now we're about the past year. Then his paranoia started, then it's like, oh, I can't sleep alone. He starts, he's having night terrors, and he's up and down 3 times a night, and nobody's sleeping in the house. And he starts, well, his eating has always been bad, but it was just little things, paranoia about if I went away on a business trip, he would literally cry, and I'd have to call him the minute I hit the airport. I'd have to call him the minute I landed, and we'd have to FaceTime 4 or 5 times a day. So it was his insecurities about maybe losing or just not having that connection really started getting pretty deep. What was hard, I know for like my mom and him are very, very close, and they still are, but he distanced himself from like everybody. Like he didn't want to leave the house. He used to go run around and play like all the time, but it was like, nope, I'm going to stay home. It's where my dogs are. It's where my brother, my mom and dad. He just didn't want to do much. Now, if one of the neighborhood boys, what Coach Richmond called the starting 5, if one of them came over, he's all game. But he just kind of excluded everyone outside of that immediate circle. He didn't make any time for anybody. So that was hard because he kind of came across as a jerk. Mm-hmm. But what people didn't know is when he came in the house and shut the door, he was just a scared little boy. So that's, kind of what we're dealing with still today. And yeah, we have good days and we have bad days. I think after Landon's passing, they were numb. And I think still the boys to this day are dealing with it. Good days, bad days. Thankfully, they're not all on the same bad day. So they all still help each other. Right. But we're still dealing with a lot of that, like insecurities, fearfulness that he could lose somebody. That's a definite. I mean, I don't know that will ever disappear. I think, no one should have to go through that, especially, as adults, we can't take care of our emotions very well. Yeah. And so, going back as his mom now, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but there was this article that I had read, I think it was like a day or 2 after that week after Landon had passed. And it talks about parents about not knowing how much your kid's struggles would actually break your heart. And it hit home because in the quote on here was about making the decision to have a child is momentous. It's the decision to have forever your heart go walking around outside your body. And that is so true because I think for the month of September, like cried every day and just had swollen eyes. And Kai didn't. And I mentioned to you, I was like, it's like I couldn't get it out. I couldn't cry enough, which I didn't cry for like 2 years. And then in a matter of a week, I think I made up for those 2 years. But Kai didn't. And so I was like, is this that I'm feeling his emotions because he doesn't know how to process them? And he would sit right by with me. I'd just be sitting there sobbing and he'd have no problem. He'd be there right beside me, kind of looking at me funny. And again, he's had his moments, but again, we all show it differently. So it's, yeah. So I'm learning. I have no clue how to deal with this. I said, I'm still waiting for that manual, that user manual to show up on how to help your child go through grief. Because I just don't know. And I don't know if I'm helping him. I don't know if I'm ultimately creating a long-term negative effect on him.
Right.
I guess to be determined.
So interesting, because I just think like depth of their relationships, just for Kai to even be able to sit by you and watch you cry,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like for a 12-year-old,
Yeah.
think of, not right now, but eventually how many skills he is going to learn, right? It's icky right now. We're going through all those stages of grief with, is he through being angry?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
Just
And you
observing.
know what? Sports helps. It
Yeah.
helps. He gets that out. He's
Do
very
you
active, so that helps.
do you think Landon talked to them about how to do this, or about how he wants them to show up, or was he embodied that?
He embodied that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of been what everyone has been saying now is live like Landon lived,
Oh,
because we all need to. I need to be a better person. I mean, we all walked away thinking, and if that is why Landon if this was Landon's purpose, again, he succeeded because um, we are all forever changed for the better. Um, and the kids are too. I mean, it's crazy what Kai, um, I don't know, he is more compassionate now. I mean, and again, it's little, but I see things now from our whole family. That's
absolutely.
different.
Yeah. Well,
That
and
it is.
empathic
Oops.
too, right? Like um, you just sense things. Kai's always been sensitive. He's always sensed
Very.
things, right? And so now it's for him to be able to trust that it's okay to keep
Yes.
sensing, and not the fear of being abandoned and lost, and all of
Yep.
those things um, that come with losing somebody you love, and
Right.
wondering why he was taken, right?
Yeah. Well, and why him? We talk about this all the time, that right around the time of Landon's diagnosis, just alone in our family, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. 2 weeks later, her sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. My cousin's son had an emergency appendectomy and they found some cancer cells in there. My mom's cousin was diagnosed with cancer. My grandmother was diagnosed with cancer in
Oh,
Landon. So we literally had six in a matter of 6 weeks. And so Kai was like, he thought the whole world was kind of like, why
yeah.
is everyone getting cancer? And so he was watching everyone go through treatments. And thankfully, my mom and my aunt and my cousin's son, they're all here today still. And so that was a success story. And so Kai saw those right away. And so he all along was like, well, grandma can get through cancer. Landon's going to be able to.
Oh,
He really had that mentality.
yeah.
Um, and what's funny is my mom says to this day that while she was going through her treatments, all she prayed about was for Landon, because she's like, if I'm here today dealing with cancer as a 67-year-old woman, why, God, did you put cancer into my grandson's best friend? She's like, Landon gave my mom strength through her treatment.
Yeah.
So
Which
yeah.
is so, God, that boy.
Yeah.
Never know
Yeah,
how
so his
that goes.
story was like so viral, and was like people going through cancer were using him as a source of hope, and they were putting maybe their pity party on hold because they are praying for someone else. Yeah, it was. So again, that's back to Kai, a lot of his concerns right now. I mean, I had a mammogram a month ago and he was like sick to his stomach
Oh,
until your lab results come back and it's clear. I mean, I physically had to show him my results because he's scared.
yeah, yeah,
um
yeah. So now
yeah.
the healing process is one that you can start focusing on trust, because that
Yes.
is definitely the opposite of loss and abandonment, right? Is trusting
Yeah.
that, and then whatever happens is supposed to be for some reason, and there's lessons in our world. So how, because for everybody that's tied closely to Landon, I mean, how many patients that I have that didn't personally know him, and still that week was a sober week. I mean,
Yes.
a ton of your employees, like they were bawling.
Yes.
They're like, I don't even know this boy, but I know the impact that he's had on Keely and her family and all these little boys' families. I mean, just to, if it's the starting five, those 5 families, not to mention the whole world. I mean, that's just his reach. What's that quote? You never know how far reaching something. I need to find that quote. Is close to you. Basically, you never realize how someone like him will change the course of our path. And I think with death, especially tragedy in a child, it would be really easy to fall into the victim mindset of why him, why me. Do you think, how have you not gotten stuck there? How do you continue to move through?
Oh, well, part of it is you see Andrea and Travis get up every morning and go about their day, and their hearts are broken, but they are living like Landon lived. They've got his foundation, and you just keep pushing forward. Because I think if you look at the alternative side of not pushing forward, well, that's dark and scary, and no one wants to go there.
Right. Do you think
that's just not even healthy? I don't even want to look down because it's not healthy. There's too much to live for, I think.
Right. Do you think there's ever a time and a place to look at the dark and scary?
You know what? I'm sure if, for us personally, if we ever had time to, I think we're still so busy just with life and work and kids and activities that we don't have time to look at the dark and scary. Mm-hmm. There just isn't. And I don't know if it would be healthy to just think and look. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of us even think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and he was a beacon of light, so you definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't mean dark and scary as in a real bad way, but there's the difference between being able to look at that and know that that was part of the journey, and that's still good, right? There's the good, dark and scary, and then there's the whoa, we're slipping, we're not going to go there, like just exactly what you said,
Yeah.
I think
you're right. And I think too, it's even, as you start with school, and it's little things like, when Kai went back to school after everything, he's like, people look at us funny, and it's like, you guys have a lot of, you have a lot to carry now. You have a lot of grief, but yet you literally need to carry on a legacy of just being good people. We need to make sure we're raising good humans and that are going to grow up and be good people and continue to lift others. And that unfortunately doesn't happen, I don't think, much anymore. So if anything else, that's taking, what the unfortunate effects of what happened, that's what we're trying to turn and make positive with these boys. And I kind of have that conversation, even Ty, every single night. And when they walk out the door in the morning, that's the first thing, I say. I'm like, have a great day. And when he was younger, I wish I had if I remember the book right now, but it was, have you filled your bucket today, or have you filled someone's bucket today? Yeah. It's a great children's book, but I always say, as they walk out, I'm like, go fill someone's bucket today. And he knows what I'm talking about, because there's the bucket fillers and there's the bucket dumpers. Yeah. And it's basically that whole scale of life. If you just keep, taking and not giving, it's a balance. So I'm like, go fill someone's bucket, go be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think with Kai, what kind of impression Landon left on him. Because he just, oh, he's a boy, and he's the one that's going to be he is my more difficult, but yet he has the biggest heart, and
Yeah.
he doesn't show that to many people.
Yeah.
And it's there. And I think that's maybe what Landon has left for him, is to just be what do I want to call him? It's kind of the middleman. He's going to be the one to kind of make sure that if there's a fight, he'll kind of try and break it up, or he'll try and talk someone off the ledge a little bit. But again, I always say that's the Kai that's probably outside the house. But then when he comes here, he is a completely different person that we're trying to build back up. Yeah.
Which is a huge testament to you, because you've created a safe space. And so so many people struggle with that once the child goes into hiding or defiance. Or Kai has a strong personality, and either he's strong or he's hiding right now. That's where he's at, right? That numb stage. But I always talk, just in my practice at least, when a child can let go for you as a family, the one thing you know is that you have created an environment for them to do that, which is huge, because so many people don't have that. And so alternatively, if they're acting out in school and never at home, then there's something that we need to be able to see through that. I think, just like you said, for a 12-year-old kid to show his heart like these kids have showed their heart, that is all Landon, right? Yes. Because he's a boy, I'm just saying, there's not a lot of men who are comfortable showing their heart.
No.
And so if you can get through this stage, and then the therapy and the counseling and all these things that help him continue to show his heart and not shut off, right? That's like our conversations together. That's your biggest thing, is I don't want him to shut down and be in fear, and not, eventually he's going to find love, let's say.
Yes.
And you don't want to have that shutdown space, but instead be able to heal it.
And that's what's a scary, we kind of call a slippery slope here with Kai, is for a long time, we easily saw him shutting down, secluding himself. It was pretty easy to say this summer I'd come home and the kid was still in his pajamas and hadn't left the house. And we all tried, but at that point I'm working crazy hours, and Alan's working crazy hours, and so that became too here in September, that as a parent I kind of had to that's the part that I always found that I struggled with. It's like, who am I going to let down today? Am I going to let a coworker down? Am I going to let a customer down? Am I going to let my husband down? Am I going to let Kai down? So it was a struggle that I juggled with basically all fall. And at the end of the day, I told everybody, I said, the one person that I will not let down right now is my son. So I apologize, but he's everything right now. See, I still get choked up a little bit, but
naturally.
And again, amazing. And again, it's the human nature. It's like, people understand. I'm like, and if they don't understand, then those are the wrong people for me to be around. And then in September I turned 40, and it was crazy how all of this all lined up. It was like, I have no problem saying no, and I know that's a big thing. I'm really good at it now, because I don't need to be everywhere. I can't be everywhere, and I just know where I need to be. And right now it's with Kai.
Well, and if we say yes to one thing, we say no to another, right? And
Correct.
so
Yes.
you got clear.
Yep.
And you will be
Yep.
you will be more clear for the rest of your life because you've seen that difference. You've also trust the people around you to be able to say, this is, I'm not good. I'm
Yeah.
struggling.
No, I'm not. Yes.
I
Yeah.
need help here. I'm not the person that I've maybe been your boss for 15 years and what you've known to be true is not what it is today. And it's amazing, I think, what happens in community when we can break down our armor a little bit and ask
Yeah.
for help. Because
Yep.
all of those people that you mentioned are willing to do whatever it takes to help you. But if we don't ever communicate it and speak with love as to how difficult this might be, as you said, the people that don't matter. They don't matter.
Mm-mm.
No. And
No.
life is short. So hang around the people, spend time with the people that fill your bucket.
Yes.
You,
Amen.
that's what my next question was going to be. How has your life changed since this?
So we got busy being busy. That's another one of my coworkers, you're busy being busy. And that was an excuse that we used for a long time. And so, what the next few months meant for us is Alan tries very hard to be home as much as he can. Now, on a railroad schedule, he doesn't get to decide when he gets to be home, but he's even been more present. He started coming to see you this year. I mean, that has been life-changing for him. And we see the benefits of him coming to see you, Tiff, here at home. So he's more present and he's more able to vocalize feelings and just, I don't know, he's stepped definitely outside of his box this year. Landon woke us all up. Next weekend, we're all going to go away and we're going to go hunting together. We probably haven't done that as a family in 5+ years. Last week, I booked a family vacation for all of us, and I don't care if somebody misses a practice, and I don't care if I don't like missing work, and it's going to kill me, but I don't care because we're all healthy right now. And you can't take that for granted anymore. And so we just need to be together. So we were really selfish on family time and not making the time. And that is my goal, is we just have to be together as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So that's where I move forward and hope it will help. Because I think, again, I always go back to things that Andrea had mentioned about, after Landon got sick, was her new normal. And that was doctor's appointments and medications. And it's like, that could be any one of us tomorrow. So quit saying what if and one day, just do it. And we're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making me step outside my box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you're a huge, yeah. You two helped us all this year, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're brave.
Thank you.
Your story is going to help so many people. The evidence that how we show up outside of our house is sometimes different than what it looks like on the inside, right? And not to ever judge how somebody shows up anywhere else, because you never have any idea. I think that's what my work has taught me the most. I can see people as what looks like normal, and they're in the biggest struggle of their life, but nobody knows, right?
Yep.
And how they may show up may be less than awesome, or They might not be able to show up at things. They might be crabby. They might be sad. All these things that we judge the book by its cover without knowing anything about them and the battles that they're going through.
One last story on Kai, which made me very upset, but yet then there was a little silver lining in the end. Last week, Alan picked him up from school, and he got in the vehicle like he does every day, and he just broke down crying. And Alan was like, what's going on? Like, what is happening? Just big tears. And they were coming back from an assembly on bullying. And as they were walking back to the middle school, he was tripped and pushed down by a kid. And he got up and he had grass stains on his hand, and he just kind of looked at her, and she just kind of gave him a smirky little, and he was not happy, but he kept walking. And then she stepped on the back of his shoe, and it completely ripped the sole from the, and he's like, what is wrong? Like, what did I do? And she just starts kind of, belittling him, and they go back to their locker, and he literally went out and he just cried. He's like, why would someone do that? Why would a complete stranger push me to the ground and then step and rip my shoes? And I mean, he was heartbroken. And I was like, well, that's a bully. And he goes, well, she didn't say anything, so it's not really bullying. I'm like, yes, it is. Yeah. That is a bully. And I go, and how did that make you feel? And he's just like, I just cannot imagine why someone would want to do that to another person. And then I said, well, he goes, and the bad thing is I'm going to have to see her tomorrow in art class. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, I won't do anything, and it was, he's like, and we started talking about it. And I said, you don't know what her life is like at home. Maybe she doesn't have someone to talk to. And, so we turned that into a positive thing. And he really wasn't too upset. He just was like, okay, if it continues, I'll do something about it, but I'm going to take it as she's got something going on that she can't control. And I was her target. I was her target today. Yep. So, I mean, it's little things like that the old Kai, unfortunately, I think this is true. I think he would have probably pushed her down too. And I mean, the old Kai, definitely the angry Kai. Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised to get a phone call that he punched her or pushed her down, but he thinks a little bit. He thinks a lot now. Yeah,
I was going to say that's amazing. Before that age of kid, as a boy, starting to go through puberty, is weirded out by all of the things that they feel and they see. Like that's a huge testament to self-control and not retaliating, right? I mean, I think there's a time and a place to stick up for yourself, as we all know, right? In that case, though, give her some grace.
Those are, and those are just little things too. We like rehearse it. We need to get a sign that just says live like Landon lived, because those are little things that I'm like, yep, Kai lived like Landon lived just in that moment. He did the right thing. He did the honest thing. He didn't fly off the handle. He didn't say inappropriate things and then regret it. Yep.
And the fact that you get in that car and cry, once again, testament to you two, is huge. Because how many kids just keep that stuffed?
They do.
They don't want to talk about it. They hurt, but yes, but you've created a space that he can just be and grow
himself.
Love. And right now, all the stuff he's going through is him. He hasn't covered it. He doesn't hide from it, and that's what's going to allow him to get through. With grace and trust and all those.
Agree.
Things. Yeah.
At least I hope. Yes.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you just, as a mom and as you have, we are led by our gut and our heart, their heart that lives on the outside of us, and to trust that we know what to do when we know what to do. we always know.
Yeah, you're right, we do.
We'll know the next step when he needs to move from here to the next step, and when you bring another modality of healing, or when you need to work on this, or when you need to ask this question to somebody, that you can help lead the way but not do the work, right?
Right. Yeah. Spot on.
Amazing. Oh, thanks for sharing your story. I know
thanks for, it's all, and again, you got to talk about it. It's good.
You gotta talk
It
about
it helps me talk, if it helps other people. Yep.
I talk many times, or believe that anything that we bring out into the light, no pun intended, can be healed. Anything in the dark won't be healed. And so not only for him, but your whole family, when you can be vulnerable enough to talk about how it's been, you're starting to heal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening and being willing to go all in. Ditch the excuses and the comfort zones and make a decision that nothing can stop you. You can find the show notes below, and I'd love for you to share, subscribe, and rate this podcast, but only if you love it.